in several movies. Okay, like Contagion. Contagion is one of them. You know, if you watch that movie Contagion, you know, that's basically the coronavirus. Okay, that's basically Ebola. I mean, Esau don't just make these movies about people getting plagued with diseases for your entertainment. I mean, yeah, I mean, it is entertaining to watch, but at the same time, you got to be aware, like, okay, like this devil might do something sometime soon. Okay, when that movie Terminator 2 came out, it wasn't the year between when 9/11 happened and Terminator 2 Judgment Day happened. Those years wasn't too far apart, man. Several years later, after Terminator 2 Judgment Day came out, what happened? 9/11 happened. So when you start seeing movies about diseases and shit like that coming out in movie theaters, hey man, you better start watching your surroundings. Okay? Then you got people on the internet that wants to make jokes about the coronavirus, then wearing masks, you know, like it's some kind of popular parody. Man, look, them people over there in China, they're not laughing about this coronavirus thing. You know, they shaking in their boots right now. Okay, World Health Organization holds secret talks with tech giants to stop spread of coronavirus misinformation. The World Health Organization has held talks with tech giants to stop the spread of coronavirus misinformation. Okay, despite, well, yeah, they say misinformation, and I think I know where they're getting at. You know, because, the truth is that, you know, the truth is coming out about these coronavirus, because the media would tell you, oh, it's only 20,000. There's only 20,000 cases of the people who have the coronavirus, but they're not really telling you the truth, because it's more than 20,000 cases. Okay, there's over 1 million cases of people who got the coronavirus. Over 1 million. Just like fake news, right? Where ever since that whole Pizzagate thing got exposed to the world, then fake news somehow pop up, you know, out of the holes and cracks of the rocks, talking about some that ain't true. Well, can you prove it? Because your own media proved that it was true. But you see what I mean? Whenever the truth come out, then some other bull crap gotta come out of the woodworks and out of nowhere. Yeah, misinformation. What misinformation is there on the coronavirus? There ain't no misinformation. It's all true. It's all 100% accurate. You got a guy over there in China. He's from China, who came out and said that there was over 1 million cases. Now, he came out and said this last month, over 1 million cases. So you would have to imagine that right now, there's got to be at least a little over 2 million cases of people who got the coronavirus. Okay? They say there's only been 1,000 and something deaths. There's only been 1,000 deaths. But the population of Wuhan is 400 million, but there's only been 1,000 deaths. There's only been 1,000 deaths, but they got whole cities. I'm pretty sure if 1,000 people die from the disease, there will be no need to quarantine off a big ass city such as, you know how big Wuhan is? Why would they close off a big city like Wuhan over 1,000 deaths? 1,000 deaths shouldn't be nothing, right? It should be easily containable if it's 1,000 deaths. But apparently it's not 1,000 deaths. Because if it was 1,000 deaths, Wuhan shouldn't be a ghost town. China should not be a ghost town. You see what I mean? So the only time they quarantine off huge sections of China like that is when hundreds of thousands of people are dying from this virus, when there's more than a million cases. Okay, when there's more than 1 million cases, then the government has to go for more tactical measures. And quarantining off whole cities is one way to deal with a virus that has claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Now, hundreds of thousands of people, that's that's almost a genocide. The only time you quarantine off whole cities is when there's an emergency going on. And if a virus is killing hundreds of thousands of people, you better best believe that is an emergency. And that is not an emergency to take lightly, especially considering the fact that if the virus is very contagious, capable of spreading from one person to another, from one creature to another, then you better best believe that it needs to be contained as soon as possible. Because 100,000 deaths can turn into 3 million deaths within several days. So in order to reduce the drastic increase of amount of deaths, they had to quarantine off the whole city. You don't quarantine off a whole entire city over 1,000 deaths. That don't make any sense. Okay? 500 people, more than 2,000 people die from the cold every year. Do you see the U.S. Quarantining off whole cities because 50 people got the cold? But if over 100,000 people died from a common virus or disease in a city, that's when you start quarantining the whole city to prevent it from spreading. You see what I mean? Okay? The U.S. military prepping for coronavirus. So this sounds like a medical martial law. You better best believe they're going to be wearing the bubble suits. Okay? So this goes to show you how serious it's getting. If the U.S. if they're using the military to fight against this virus, then we could be looking at several cities being quarantined here in America, especially considering the fact that San Francisco has already begun doing certain measures to quarantine off whole cities. Not that they're actually doing a quarantine, but they're making preparations in case something happened. There's already been several cases of people who